Well, hello there. I am currently going through the process of renovating a house. It's been a bigger job than I expected, but I'm almost there. There's just a little bit of tiling to be done in the kitchen. That's why I haven't made a video in such a long time, and I'm also filming this on my phone because I just haven't got round to unpacking my camera gear yet. But as part of the house move, I did treat myself to a robot vacuum. I picked up the Xiaomi S20 Plus. I've had it for a couple months now, and it's done over 1,000 square meters of vacuuming around the house, and I thought it was the right time to do a video review. So this robot vacuum comes in at £170. So from my research, it was one of the cheapest vacuums that I could find with the specs that it offers, and I'm incredibly happy with it. But to get to this price point of 170 quid, certain compromises have had to be made, such as the lack of a self-emptying station, and also the obstacle avoidance, whilst it's pretty decent, isn't necessarily best in class. I'm personally perfectly happy with those compromises that have been made, but I'm going to give you a full overview of this robot, and you can decide whether or not you want to pick one up yourself. So the box includes the vacuum, 2 mop pads, the side brush, and a charging station. Straight away, here is an area for compromise as it doesn't include the self-emptying station. And personally, I'm perfectly happy with this because from my research, the self-emptying stations also require the purchase of additional bags, and that's just an ongoing charge for having one of these vacuums. So it's really no effort at all emptying the dust compartment after you've used it or filling up the water reservoir before you want it to go mopping. To set up the robot, you need to download the Me app onto your phone and you connect it to your Wi-Fi. It will then drive around your house building out the floor plan, and then from within the app you can identify individual rooms, set no-go zones, and also certain areas that you don't want it to maybe vacuum or mop, etc. Once it's built the map, you can get straight to vacuuming. It starts off by going around the perimeter of the room, and then it goes in zigzags to make sure that it covers as much area as possible. And you can watch its position in the app to track its progress of where it's been. I personally find it really, really satisfying, embarrassingly so, just watching this work. It feels very futuristic. And I don't know if it's actually saved me that much time because now instead of hoovering, I'm just following it around taking photos of it. I've genuinely got so many photos on my phone of this robot vacuum just going around the house. I find it so impressive. So on the wooden floor, I use it on its quietest setting, and that is a low enough volume that I can comfortably watch the TV or have a conversation with it on in the background. Yes, you are going to notice that it's on, but it really isn't very offensive or intrusive. It makes light work of any crumbs, hairs, rice, anything, literally anything that's dropped on a hardwood floor. This picks it up, no problem at all. On carpets, I use it on the turbo setting, which is the strongest mode that it offers. And whilst we're in the midst of DIY, the carpets are still getting really dusty, covered in sawdust, and just generally quite dirty. And as you can see in this video, there's little bits of polystyrene, and you probably can't see in this clip all the sawdust and stuff that I've dropped on the floor. It really was quite a disgusting carpet. This vacuum made light work of it on the turbo mode, and I was genuinely really impressed by it. I would say that it struggled on areas like close to walls, so there was a little bit of dust and dirt in the corners close to the walls, and also bits of fluff or dirt that have actually been trodden on and are like stuck into the carpet. It also struggles a little bit there with getting them out. I tend to, on carpets, actually send it around twice. So I'll send it around once. It does a pretty good job, gets like 70-80% of the way there. And then I'll send it round again and it'll get to 90 to 95% of the way there. It's pretty good for an ongoing maintenance clean, and then occasionally you will need to use a proper vacuum for a deeper clean as well. But it really reduces the amount that you need to properly vacuum your carpet. So moving on to the obstacle avoidance. And the obstacle avoidance, I think, is an area where you can tell that this isn't a really expensive robot vacuum. It's pretty decent. It's going to be able to identify larger items, like anything the size of a slipper, let's say, or larger. It'll be able to spot and go around it with no problem at all. But anything smaller than a slipper, a small cardboard box, cables, for example, are a nightmare. it will get caught out. So I've had a few examples where it's gone over cables and got them stuck in the motor, or it's got stuck on certain boxes. And really, because of that, you do need to, before you send it around the house to go and vacuum, you have to go and make sure that it's all like safe to do so. So you go and tuck in all the cables, make sure there's no obstacles in the area. And because of that, I'm actually not comfortable using it when I'm not in the house. So I've seen on some other robot vacuum reviews that people use it when they're at work, etc. And I'm just not quite happy doing that with this vacuum because it does sometimes get stuck on things. It can gobble up a cable and you need to go and rescue it. You get a notification on your phone saying that something stopped working or that it's stuck, and it will tell you its location, and it won't continue until you've gone and saved it. It doesn't happen all that often, but it happens enough for me to not want to use it whilst I'm not in the house. But I am happy it vacuuming rooms that I'm not currently in. So I always go in, check the room, make sure there's nothing small that could catch it out, and then I'm more than happy just letting it go. I would say that my biggest gripe with this vacuum is that before it goes out and does any sessions, it needs to reposition. And sometimes this repositioning can go on for a long time. It doesn't happen all that often, but it does happen enough for it to be a bit of an issue. Sometimes it can get a little bit stuck, or it can spend a good 30 seconds to a minute trying to figure out where it is in the house, even though it's not moved since when it last parked on the charging station. Whilst it is repositioning, it seems that the obstacle avoidance isn't as good for some reason, so it can sometimes drive into things near the charging station or the charging station itself. I think for the money, the obstacle avoidance is solid. Any large enough objects, it's going to know to go around, and all you've got to do is just tuck in cables, etc. before you send it around the house, and you shouldn't encounter many issues. It does also have stair detection, which I was really impressed by. It will know when it's getting close to the edge of the stairs and not go over the end, which I thought was very cool and again quite futuristic. It also has carpet detection, so if you've got it on a quieter setting and it detects that it's gone over a rug or a carpet, it will go up one setting to try and get a deeper clean. Maintaining the S20 Plus is pretty simple. You can pop out the main cleaning brush and cut any hairs that may have gotten tangled. Removing the dust tray is simple, and the manual recommends rinsing the dust tray out with water. And removing the mop pads is really easy. They just detach from the plastic and can be easily cleaned in the sink or the wash. So I decided to talk about the mopping last because in my opinion it's probably the weakest area of the S20 Plus, and I wouldn't buy this for the mopping feature at all. I would more consider it like an extra bonus as opposed to a core functionality of it. And the reason I say that is I just don't think it applies enough pressure on the mop pads for it to really make any meaningful difference. There have been a few situations where I've tried to mop something up and I've had to go around after it and actually do it properly myself. So yeah, because of that, I don't use it all that often. It's nice to have, and occasionally I will mop the kitchen area, but because you can't add any mopping solution to it either, which is recommended by Xiaomi, it kind of again defeats the purpose of it. Like you're just using wet mop pads with water to smudge around dirt as opposed to really cleaning it, in my opinion. It does have 3 different settings of moisture levels, so I tend to use it on the wettest setting, and it doesn't leave the floor soaking wet or anything like that. You can just see like a trail if you catch it in the right light behind it where it's been and where's wet, but it's not going to leave a puddle behind it or anything like that. So that is good. But the mopping is a weak point, and it's more of an added bonus, something that's a little bit fun to use as opposed to something that I use all the time personally. Overall, for the money, this is a really good value robot vacuum. It offers a really accessible entry point without breaking the bank, with heaps of useful features, and you're definitely going to appreciate the time saved. Just being able to deploy this around your house is really something that doesn't get old. Like, I thoroughly enjoy just not having to vacuum and constantly having clean floors. Whilst the mopping isn't the best, it's still nice to have. I do use it occasionally. The obstacle detection can do with a little bit of improvement, so I felt more comfortable using it whilst I wasn't in the house, for example. But really, this is just nitpicking for the money, and I really do recommend it as long as you're happy with the compromises that I've mentioned. Thank you very much for watching this video. I hope you found it useful. Cheers, bye-bye.